regretting the fact that they ignored his pleas that they're willing to confess to. But they don't realize he's Yosef, and were shocked when he said he was. They had maintained from the beginning that Yosef was a degenerate. Here he is bad-mouthing them in front of their father, trying to mess up the family, challenge the leadership of Yehuda, where it was understood that that was the future of this nation that was being born. Interpreted his dreams as personal ambition. They saw him as a lowlife. They never changed their minds. The only realization they came to was that it was callous to ignore his pleas. They should have had mercy. Of course, he was wrong, doesn't deserve to live. But he cried. How do you ignore the cries of your brother? That's as far as they went. But that they were totally mistaken in their premise. That Yosef really was greater than them. After everything that they had gone through. And they must have done their soul searching. That never occurred to them. That never occurred to them. He says, Ani Yosef, this is the man who was ruling over Egypt. That was the most progressive civilization in its day. They were providing food for, I guess, the whole Middle East at a time of famine. And he was running the show. You could see this was a great person. It never dawned upon them that Yosef could be the viceroy, could be the second in command, or actually the one running the country. That message they didn't get. If the Shiftei Koch, the sons of Yaakov, if they couldn't understand the way Hashem was communicating with them, if they couldn't get the message, how are we supposed to get messages? How are we supposed to understand the divine providence in everything that happens to us? Do we stand a chance? The answer to that is, that's why the Torah gives us the story. Learn where they went wrong. What was their mistake? They weren't ready to question every premise. Their understanding of who Yosef was set in stone. That's not open for negotiation. Introspection is so much part of what we do. We always have to wonder, are we willing in our introspection? Are we willing to question the stuff that we're afraid to let go of? Do soul searching? Yeah, there's always so many things that you can find where you can be better. So this one will start benching from a siddur. put his finger on every word. And the next one, who loves learning, is going to throw in another half hour of learning. And this one who loves chesed will do more chesed. We always tell us, I could do better. And that's true. How about rethinking? Are there any areas that I don't want to touch? Is there something I'm just afraid? I'm afraid of rethinking. I'm afraid of what that's going to turn me into. And it could be obvious. We read the story of Yosef every year. So I don't know. Maybe the first time around we were surprised. But come on. Isn't it obvious? It's so obvious. Who else could this person be? And they're willing to question their behavior towards him. But they weren't willing to question their assessment of him. That they were so wrong. They labeled him a lowlife when he was greater than them. That they just couldn't consider. Whatever it is that Hashem did to them. This is true all the time. This particular week, we as a yeshiva, for so many of you, was a friend. We've lost a Talmud, a tragedy. A young man who we thought had his whole life ahead of him. Just slipped away. It's painful. And of course we know that everyone is affected in just the way Hashem wants it to affect him. And there's a message to everybody. To the yeshiva as a yeshiva. To every individual, the way it affected him. And of course, we want to get the messages. We want to do for him, and we want to do what Hashem wants us to. Every individual. I beg you, don't just do more of what you're already doing. This is not just a little reminder. Yeah, you can do it better. Ask yourself what you're not willing to consider. We should all live long. But consider, if you knew your days were limited, what will you regret not having done? What is it that you either put on the back burner or say so because you'd rather not deal with it altogether? This is not an attempt at a hiss, but a eulogy. There's a lot to say. We're talking about a beautiful neshama. But right now, we were still in shock. It was so sudden. He had no idea that that's where things were up to. Make sure you allow yourselves to get the right message. Make sure you allow yourselves to really consider what you haven't considered before. May Hashem send us lots of positive messages. Here's Hashem. Should all be healthy, happy, and keep growing. And above all, self-motivated, so we don't need painful reminders that we're neglecting things. Let's grow with Hashem's encouragement. And not need anything like this. It should only be joy. Only joy and happiness. And all grow together here. And really become great for Klal Yisrael's sake.